Okay, so one of the first things we want to do if we're going to do this clevis, these are 3/8 24 right-hand threads on one end, but it's a 5/16 through hole. The tab that we're going to use is a 3/8 through hole. I couldn't find one that was a 3/8 by 3/8 like swivel rod ends, so here's what we're going to do is we can't get, the plan is to use clevis. Of course, that's not going to go through, so we're going to have to drill this out. So we'll go through that. All right, so here's the setup. I'm using my latest purchase. I got it from Harbor Freight. It has good solid jaws that don't rock back and forth. And using this step drill, this is more for panels, but this is going to work out good because it kind of self-aligns the two ends. We're going to have to flip it over and do the other side, but basically we're going to open this thing up to 3/8. Careful not to put too much pressure on so it pushes the clevis out of position. Just going to feed it kind of easy. Maybe throw a little tap magic on there. And then just go to the next step. Just kiss it a little bit, and that kind of puts a nice chamfer on it. And we'll flip it over, do the other side. Push it back tight into the fixture. Like so. And then this will square it up. And it moved a little bit. It's just looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and drill this side out too. A little bit of that tap magic goes a long ways. And there we go. So all nicely drilled out. So we should be able to pass that spring clip clevis through there. Okay, so there's the clevis through the spring pin. The spring pin that I'll wind up using, this is the end that goes up near the rear end axle housing. So that'll be a really short pin, and I've already got those. So the next thing is this is the mounting plate that will go on the rear axle housing, and we're going to have to weld the other end to it, corner. And what I'm going to do is tack it 2 or 3 or 4 places, and then when I get it up in there and bolt it in, I can kind of make kind of tap the angle that I'm going to need for the clevises. I'll show you what I mean when we get up under the car. So that's kind of the plan there, and then weld it all up, and then we have to set the length of the top rods and make it where I can get full travel up and down with adjustments. So a little bit of not a lot of engineering on paper, because it's going to be done real world right on the car. Yeah, here's what happens in the wintertime when you let your wife park in your shop. So we're gonna have to clean that up. And as I said, I let my wife park in my shop, but she's not here right now, so I let my wife park in my shop. So let's get that cleaned up before we get started. I let my wife park in my shop. Boy, is she gonna, when she sees this, is she gonna be happy? Maybe I should call the road commission and ask them if they want some of their sand back. Well, I have a few good reasons for going through this seemingly exercise in futility. But first of all, when you have a filthy, dirty floor, whether you're using it as a shop or a garage or whatever, you start tracking this stuff into the house off your shoes, start tracking it around the workshop, and just generally makes a mess all over. So that's one reason why I stop and do this once in a while during the winter. Another good reason is we like to look for leaks. And if the floor is really filthy dirty, it's kind of hard to tell if there's some kind of an oil leak. And from what I see here, there was a spot right around where the rear axle of my wife's BMW X3 sits. It looks like there might be some, the only thing it could possibly be is brake fluid. And that kind of coincides with the fact that every now and then I get a light that says to add some brake fluid. So obviously there's some kind of a small leak back there. So, well, if I'm going to look underneath the car, I don't want to be crawling through the mud to do it. So that's the reasons for cleaning up the floor when you share a garage with the passenger car that comes and goes. But it's a nice heated garage, nice heated space, and you know, we can get in and out in a heated area, get the groceries out of the car without having to go through the trudge through the snow. So it's convenient for my wife. So that's why we do it. So anyways, we'll get back to work now on the wheelie bar project. So here's the next step, is we want to weld this, temporarily weld. We're going to hopefully TIG weld all this together in the end. But in the meantime, to get this to hold together, we're going to drill a hole and do a little plug weld with the wire machine that will keep this kind of solid so I can fit. This end would be first end to put in because this one goes up by the rear end housing. So we'll get that done on both tubes. These tubes are going to have to be cut to length. So we won't do the other end until we know what the length is. And then get it fit in the car, weld the two tabs that go on the rear end housing and temporarily. And then I'm going to take it somewhere and have somebody that's decent TIG welder TIG it all up for me. So that's kind of the plan. All right, using this surface gauge that I picked up at, actually it's a height stand. Also sometimes can call it a surface gauge, but I want to find kind of roughly where the center line is on this shaft. It's 1 inch diameter shaft, so I set the height of this scribe here at exactly a ½ inch off of the surface plate. And it's just very simple because we're not doing thousandths of an inch precision, but I'm just going to scratch a line, and that gives me, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but that gives me an indication of where the middle of this tube is. And then I'm just going to chuck it up in the vise on the drill press and get it pointing straight up, and that should be close enough to get a somewhat centered up hole in. So with a hole drilled, you can see this is what you come up with is a plug weld. Then that will hold it in place until we can get over and TIGged. So we got to do that times 2, and then I'll set things up. We got to locate the ladder bar or the wheelie bars underneath the back of the car again, and then put the tabs on get the tabs welded up and unbolt the rear axle housing cover, 2 bolts on the top, and place those in, and then I can start fitting this thing up and seeing how things are going to come out. All right, let's see if we can't put a little plug weld in here. Looks like it worked good. Take you over and show you this one, and then we'll get the other one. There was a little void right here, so I kind of touched that up. So that isn't going anywhere for now, so I can test fit this, and this part here can always be ground and cleaned up before we go to powder coat. So that's fabricating is not machining. So this is kind of what I'm after right here, the plug weld, and you can see that this is just, I kind of roughed it down, and then if I take a little Dremel or something, I can clean this right up, and then this groove right here is where the TIG weld will go all the way around, and then we don't care if whoever I get to weld this does a nice job, probably won't need to clean it up, but this, you have the option of cleaning these welds up. It's not like the roll cage or anything. So anyways, that's that part, and then next we'll do the tabs. So sparing you all the boring welding part and stuff, here's the 2 tabs. When I get the angle I want, then we'll weld that inner corner there, and that'll give it a nice gusset. What I did is I 45'd the ends of these and then filled this with weld, and then belt sanded that down so it's good and flat. And that's if you can imagine. I'll show you later on, but these go on top 2, not the top 2, but the second from the last top 2 bolts on the rear end housing, and then I'll show you here in a second. So this is how the top bar to the wheelie bars will attach, and that's the diagonal that runs down to the caster housing. So the next thing is I got a couple of these, and these will locate down low on where the ladder bar brackets mount to the rear axle housing, and then a couple of these will hold that on. So pull 4 pins and the wheelie bar assembly is removed. All right, so I think I'll call that a video for now, and then this week we'll work on getting the ladder bar or the wheelie bars mounted underneath the back of the car and where those tabs go. And I have to remove the rear tires, I think, to give me access so I can get in there and weld that. Probably what I'm going to do is, because I'm not the world's greatest welder, and I want those welds to look pretty, is get them good and tacked, get everything mounted up, and then later on go over to a friend's shop, and he's a pretty good welder, so he'll make some nice looking good strong beads. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Once again, the object of my videos is to show you that without big race car shop equipment and everything, that you can make decent looking stuff for your car and do it on your own and not spend a fortune paying people $95, $100, I don't know, $150 an hour for shop labor. And this is just an outgrowth of building model cars is what it is. My dad used to accuse me of building model cars when I was working on my cars, and it's like, yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, Dad, that's the deal. So Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Hopefully you've noticed that I've kind of stepped up my video game, and I'm going to continue to do that. And if we get to 500 subscribers, get some better software for doing editing and move on to some better projects. So thanks for watching.